welcome back. I'm supporting my University of Helsinki teacher. No, I did not go to the University of Helsinki, but I have been to Finland. Well, I actually haven't been to Finland. My wife's been to Finland, and she bought me a t-shirt back. I'm really big on collegiate t-shirts and sweaters from different countries and cities. Every time I travel somewhere, I like to buy a different t-shirt, sweater. I just collect them just to say, hey, I've been to this place. But anyways, I digress. But hey, everybody, welcome back to the second episode of the Brave Enough to Talk podcast. I'm your host, Cousin Marcus. If this is your first time here, this podcast is a space for men, veterans, to have real conversations about mental health, vulnerability, and everything in between. But I will this is a podcast geared towards men because there's not a lot of platforms out there that speak to men's mental health, but it's not exclusive to men. You know what I mean? It's for men, but it doesn't mean that other people can't join in and listen and get any use from this conversation. I want this platform to help out anyone facing issues they can relate to in these topics when it comes to mental health. So please, just because it says Brave Enough to Talk and I say, hey, it's the podcast for men, but it does not mean that's exclusive for men. Well, with that being said, today we're going to talk about something that most of us deal with, but we don't necessarily always know how to talk about. And this topic kind of came up because I had my therapy session today. I went to therapy. I had it this morning, got up at 7 o'clock in the morning, took the subway train all the way to the VA and had my therapy sessions. And it came up, and it's something I felt like I wanted to talk about. Today we're talking about anger. Anger is something that we all deal with, but we don't always know how to talk about it or how to express it. Today, we're learning how to cope with anger as a man. Because anger is something that every man has wrestled with at some point. For a lot of us, that anger is the only emotion that we're taught to express. Growing up as a young boy, you're told that it's not okay to cry. It's not okay to be scared. But if you are mad, that's somehow accepted. We can't feel any other emotions, but anger is the one that, oh, it's okay. He's just a boy. He can be angry, but I can't be sad or I can't be scared. Even as a man, we all get scared. We all get sad, but we can't show it. It's not socially acceptable for us to show it. And that's something I want to talk about. We want to get rid of that, break out of that sometimes, to let people know that men feel fear too. Men feel sadness too. The one emotion that we seem to show more than normal, the one that's personified the most, is anger. If you served in the military, you've probably learned to keep a lid on everything and stay in control. But honestly, if sometimes you never really learn how to process what's underneath the anger, you know what I mean? And maybe you might be disappointed or sad about something or just plain outright hurt. And that starts to leak out in your relationships, work, and even your health. I've had instances where I thought I was just frustrated, but really I was hurt. I was hurt. Someone hurt me. And I didn't know how to talk about it or process it. And it just came out in a form of irritation or rage. And don't get me wrong, I'm not, when I say rage, I mean internally, I'm not necessarily the guy punching holes through walls. It might be somebody who is, but I'm not punching holes through walls. I'm not the guy that you're like, man, there goes Marcus again. He can't have a few drinks because he starts to blow up. That's not me. But we all know somebody who is like that. and we all have seen that. Deep down, where does that come from? Why is this person that angry? Why are they feeling that much rage? What's underneath that? Let's talk about how anger can actually look. It isn't always yelling or punching walls. Sometimes it's something that's just simmering under the surface. Here are a few examples I've written down because I can't, look, it's a podcast. A lot of this is going to be off of the dome, but I got to keep topic. I got to stay on track because, to be honest with you, I can just go on and get off a topic. But I want to focus this conversation, stay on track for my people because this is important to me. And I want to reach as many people as possible, even if it's just one. Somebody's dealing with some of this. Examples of how the anger shows up is, for example, explosive anger, yelling, cursing, slamming doors. We've all done it. I know I have. I know I've gotten to the point where someone has driven me up the wall or something has frustrated me so much that I yelled or that I cursed or that I slammed the door. Just think about when we're in traffic every day and there's somebody that cuts you off out of nowhere. What do you do? So many explicit words and then the hand gestures because someone cut you off on the highway. We've all been there. And that's kind of a form of where that anger shows up, even though it's valid. It's definitely valid anger when someone cuts you off in traffic. But what makes you blow up in certain instances more than others is something that we need to think about. Sometimes you feel out of control in the moment when it comes to that explosive anger. You lash out and it just builds up. Sometimes it can feel freeing when you release it. And you just keep going and you keep going and you keep going and you feel like you're losing control. So you do more than what you wanted. Instead of just yelling and getting it out, you punched a wall. You broke a glass. You hit somebody. And that's something you regret because you couldn't control your anger. Because you didn't know how to express that anger other than physical. Another example is internalized anger. Shutting down, giving people the silent treatment. I'm definitely guilty of that one. I've had family members I've seen do this, and I've learned that when someone got angry, instead of saying anything, they just didn't say anything. Instead of saying anything about it, they just didn't say anything. And then I did that sometimes. I did that in relationships. I did it at work. I did it with friends. And I had to learn that's not the right way to do it. You have to communicate how you feel. You have to find a way, because nobody can read your mind. But some of the things that we get angry about can be talked through. It can be processed better than just shutting people off. Because sometimes you shut people off in something that was just a simple fix and somebody that was willing to fix it if they knew what the issue was. But you didn't communicate because you just shut them out. Carrying a resentment towards someone or something about a situation and not saying anything will not help. Trust me. I've done it. I can tell you from experience, it will not help. I deal with it sometimes, but now I catch myself. There's instances where I'm quite annoyed about something, I'm aggravated, I'm disappointed. It comes from something underneath the surface. I'm disappointed in something. Someone hurt my feelings. So I give them the silent treatment and I don't speak to them. But let's be real. We just wanted this person to acknowledge the situation that caused that hurt. And in return, you give them the silent treatment instead of talking through it and giving them a chance to rectify the situation and make it right. We're all guilty of it. I know I am. Communication is key. And if you spend any time in the service like I have, they tell you over and over again, communication is key. And it's true. One thing I would absolutely regret And it's never happened to me, and I don't wish it for anybody to happen to anyone, but you don't want to be in a situation where it's something that you could have talked about and then you never get the chance to talk to that person because something happened. You don't want to leave things left unsaid in any situation, whether it's good or bad. You don't want to leave things unsaid when they should have been said. It's a process. It's not something that you're going to develop overnight. It's not something that you will be able to, I'll fix it and change the way I, interpret my anger and how I internalize things and compartmentalize things. You're not going to do it overnight. It's a process. But when you do realize this internalized anger and you get to the point where you're shutting down, giving people the silent treatment, stop, take a moment and realize, what if this was the last time I was able to have this conversation with this person? Would I want it to end in a fashion where I was never able to express what was really wrong, or I was never able to find out what was really wrong with them and give them the chance? You want to be able to articulate things that are bothering you. And I get it. Sometimes you don't really know what's bothering you. You don't really know why you feel the way that you're feeling. But the right step is just talking. Start a conversation. Just communicate. Don't shut people down. Don't just shut yourself off, because it doesn't help, because that stacks and it builds up and then it stains your relationship with people. And it continues to snowball into something where honestly it could have been fixed from the beginning in the first 5 to 10 minutes after cooling down. In another way anger shows up is passive aggression. I can't stand when people are passive aggressive to me. So I'm pretty sure people don't like it when I'm passive aggressive towards them. For example, sarcasm and backhanded comments. Just think about when you're having a conversation with someone or you're talking about a thing that you're interested in and someone gives you one of those sarcastic comments and backhanded comments, and it's like, why? What warranted that? Why did you kill my joy in that instance? Why did you bring that up? Because something is hurting that person internally. Or even if it's you doing sarcasm and backhanded comments and being short when people try to find out what's wrong and you're like, oh, it's fine, it's nothing, I'm fine, when you're not. A lot of us do that. I'm married. And I can tell you in my relationship, there's been times that we both have done that. And it's like, it's fine. You're not fine. And it's obvious. Why not just talk about it? Because if you're going to do that, you know what I mean? I'd rather you be mad at me than just say it's fine, but give me the treatment as if you're not fine. And as a man, I know that we do that for sure, but we'll put on a poker face and try to make it seem like it's okay when it's not. Internally, you're hurting, but you're going to say it's fine because you're supposed to be the cornerstone, the rock of your friends, your family, and things like that. You're supposed to be the stronger one. So you're going to say it's fine, it's nothing, I'll get over it, I'll be okay. But will you? How many times can you do that? How many times can you say, I'll be okay, until it's obvious that it's not, and by that time it may be too late? I've been in these places at different times, and what helped me was learning that the anger was usually a signal, not just a problem. It's telling you that something isn't okay and you should listen. It's a signal that lets you know, hey, look, like when you're doing the laundry and all of a sudden the washing machine makes that noise when it's done, or the microwave makes the noise when it's cooked. Your body's going to give you signals. Things are not okay and you should listen to them. You shouldn't ignore it. And if you have someone that you can talk to, do that. For some of us, when it comes to anger, the hardest part is being able to say, I'm angry, but also being able to articulate why I'm angry. And where is that anger coming from? That anger is coming from sadness or disappointment. Why am I sad? Why am I disappointed? It's because this happened when I had expectations of something else. Sometimes being able to articulate is what stops a lot of situations from processing and flourishing into better relationships, because we don't know how to articulate and just flat out say that we're mad or have an issue with something and what causes that anger. There are some healthier ways to cope with this. Like, for instance, saying that, so what do we do about it? Sounds pretty basic, right? Here are some tools I found helpful, and you can try whatever feels right for you. You can pause and name it. If you see my social media page, I've posted some slides about this. Pause and name it. So, for instance, I'll read it out to you. When you feel that heat rising, just pause and say, I'm angry right now. Name it. Naming it actually takes away some of the power. Just coming out and saying it, I'm angry right now, puts other people on notice, right? And it lets people understand that, okay, here's an issue. Maybe we should approach it a little differently. Maybe find a way to rectify this situation. It gives a warning sign, a caution sign, like men working up ahead, road work ahead, construction up ahead. So you know to approach that situation with caution. If you're able to pause and name it and just say, hey, I'm angry right now. So you give people around you a caution sign so that they know to approach this with a little more delicacy. You know what I mean? Because it is a sensitive situation when anyone is angry. Another way to cope with it is to ask yourself what's underneath. And we kind of talked about that a little bit. Ask yourself, what am I really feeling? A lot of times it's hurt, fear, shame, or my personal favorite, feeling disrespected. And as a man, that's kind of like the biggest one sometimes when it comes to pride and egos and things like that. Sometimes your ego's hurt. But feeling disrespected is a big one, because especially when that disrespect comes when someone that you love, care about, you trust, and you feel like that you can confide in that person, and all of a sudden you feel disrespected by them. And that can be so hurtful when someone you trust the most disrespects you. And you kind of got to take it on the chin. And it's already hard enough for, as a man, to put a lot of your trust in people, because you always feel like you can't trust anyone. You have to trust yourself. And you shouldn't live like that, but it's just kind of how you're brought up and how you're raised to be independent and don't rely on other people. So when you do rely on someone, it's very hurtful if you feel some type of pain from this person. You become reclusive in a sense. And that's where the anger comes from. Just like, I put this much trust in you. And anyone can feel that. You know what I mean? We've all been there. And just asking yourself what's underneath and being able to pinpoint that and communicate, okay, why am I angry? I'm angry at Josh. Why am I angry at Josh? I had a candy bar in the refrigerator and Josh ate the last one. It's not that I dislike Josh, but I am hurt because Josh ate the candy bar that I was looking forward to. And look, man, a good Snickers bar goes a long way. If somebody eats your last candy or ice cream in the refrigerator or that last slice of cake, you know what I mean? A good red velvet cake and somebody ate the last slice. That's a lot of hurt, man. That's a lot of hurt to process. And a lot of anger comes along with it. Or if they drank the last beer, we've all been there. But, and you know, all jokes aside, you want to be able to communicate that. Hey, Josh, I'm mad at you. And here's why. And then Josh can make the effort and say, hey, you know what? I was wrong. Or This is why I did it. If it's a topic other than taking ice cream or the last beer, you know what I mean? But if it's something else where it's like a two-way street, this person, Josh, can relay the reasoning for their decision if it's something that could have been a cause and effect situation. Maybe it was something you caused. And sometimes it is. But by communicating, you realize what the issue was, and you can do a good job pinpointing and resolving it. Another thing you can do, step 3, is moving your body. Anger comes with adrenaline. Absolutely. Punching holes in walls. People do that. That's the go-to. When people get angry, they punch. You don't want to punch people. People punch things. You punch a wall. I see videos of people throwing controllers at TVs whenever they get frustrated with video gaming. But yeah, get up and move your body. Go for a walk. Do some push-ups. We used to do that. Do some push-ups. That helped a lot. And you kind of burn off some of that steam. Go for a walk. Just do some deep breaths. That is so underrated. Doing some breath work. Taking a deep breath, closing your eyes, walking away from the situation. You don't necessarily want to punch things as much when you do that. You get rid of some of that steam. It's like a locomotive going full steam. You see the smoke going. It has to release some of that energy. Taking that deep breath does wonders. When I was in college, I took a yoga class consistently twice a week. That was the first time I realized I was dealing with PTSD. Taking that yoga class made me realize a world of things. It opened so much up for me when it comes to realizing what I was dealing with internally, things I was holding on to, how to process my anger, how to calm my nerves. It helps so much. If you're able to take yoga at home, watch videos, do some meditation. And even if you don't know how to meditate, there's YouTube videos to learn how to do everything. I suggest that. I remember the first time I took the yoga class. It was with a buddy of mine in college. It was my gym partner. It was a joke. We were just like, we're going to take some yoga to be funny. We got in that yoga class. It was some of the most, it was tough. It was tough. Yoga's no joke. Don't think yoga's a pushover, because it's not. And it's some of the most enlightening and mind-cleansing activity, soul-cleansing activity that I have ever participated in. And I recommend it to anybody. It helps with health, fitness, and it helps so much mentally. So yoga, try it out. Taking your space. It's okay to tell someone I need to step away for a minute so that I don't say something that I regret. That's definitely a sign of strength and not weakness, to be able to walk away from a situation. Because if you keep confrontation in front of you, especially when you're angry, it can potentially lead into something much worse. How many times have we seen when people try to press the issue when they're angry, or you press the issue when someone else is angry and it turns into something physical, or even worse, something deadly? Just walk away, because you don't want to be in a situation, and I've seen it, where let's say you're in a relationship, let's talk about with a spouse, a partner, a friend, a family member, and you're in a heated moment and you say something you did not want to say. When you calm down, you instantly regret it, but it's too late. You said it. You just kept going into the issue, or they kept going into the issue when tensions were so high. Where if you took a step back and said, hey, I kind of want to step away from this. I can't talk to you right now. I'm going to walk away. Give yourself the space. Give yourself the time. Walk away from the situation, because you don't want to say and do something that you're going to regret. We've done it. I've done it. I've said things that I've regretted. I wish I took the time out to say, man, let me walk away from this situation to catch my breath, to think this through, think clearly, and not just be clouded with anger. Because that's the last thing you want. The last thing you want is to be in a situation where you say something and you're like, man, I really wish I didn't do that. I really regret doing that. And now I ruined a relationship. I ruined a friendship with somebody, or I got myself in trouble because I couldn't walk away. Walk away. Sometimes if you can't control it, just walk away. Talking it out. Find someone you trust, a friend, a counselor, a peer. Sometimes just saying it out loud helps you with the process. Honestly, the best thing you can do a lot of times is talk it out. Sometimes when you talk it out, you come to the conclusion like, this was stupid. Why was I mad about that? Why was anybody mad about any of this? This didn't make any sense. We were all mad at each other for nothing. And talking about it is what solved the issue and made us realize how stupid we were from the beginning. It's like that sometimes, man. Sometimes. I've been there, you know what I mean? I've been frustrated. I've been mad at friends, mad at family. And then you give them the silent treatment. You don't talk. You know what I mean? You know how it is. As a guy, man, you're just like, oh, I'm not going to talk to them. I'm not going to deal with it. And then when you finally get one-on-one, whether it's hours later, minutes later, sometimes years later, I've actually missed out on a friendship that I had, a close friendship with a friend of mine. We got mad at each other one time and we didn't talk for 3 years. Down the road, we saw each other and it was kind of an awkward moment, but we know we had all this friendship and this history. So we talked about the situation and it come to realize it was stupid. And it was something that we literally could have resolved in the first 5 minutes, but we didn't because we were too stubborn to talk about it. And we missed out on 3 years of friendship because of that. Sometimes you self-sabotage by not talking, by not communicating. And that can be a problem. And I get it. Sometimes you don't want to talk in the moment. I absolutely get it. Sometimes if you talk in the moment, you're going to say some things you regret. But don't let so much time pass to waste. You don't communicate with this person at all anymore, especially if it's something that's repairable. You miss out on friendships because it's something so small that you made trivial for nothing. Another thing to do is writing it down. I've actually never did this one. I've never kept a journal or a diary or a pad where I kind of wrote down my thoughts when I was dealing with stuff. I might actually get into this because I've heard from other people that it works to write down when things are bothering you. Even another one, is just recording it, recording like a voice note. Yell at your iPhone, man. Just yell. Make a video and then go back and listen to it. You might see something in there and you're like, man, why was I yelling about that? Why did I feel that way? And then that might help you reflect better. I've never considered that, but I might do it once just to see how it goes. And if it works out, I might share it. The next time I'm angry, I might just record a video and just yell at the camera. I might post it and talk about it. It might end up viral on the internet. People laugh at me like, what's wrong with this guy? But hey, maybe it helped me get over the fact that someone ate the ice cream, you know what I mean? I drank the last beer. I don't know. Honestly, I personally, these steps, a lot of them myself I've used. Some of them I haven't. Some of them might, like I said, the recording the audio and writing things down, that's new to me. Processing anger is a journey. Nobody has it all figured out. I definitely don't have it all figured out. I'm still learning and trying to get through this journey day by day. I'm going to therapy actively. I just went this morning. Trying to help me process a lot of my problems and issues that I constantly deal with. But I'm making progress in learning new things about myself. Like, hell, this is my project to help me. I'm venting to you guys in hopes that maybe I can help somebody else. Somebody can look at my issues and be like, well, you know what? Maybe I can try that. And you're more than welcome to share your issues with me. We can talk about it. It can be a topic of conversation. I've had a few friends, we talked about this, and that I want to bring up some of the topics and the content that they brought up. But honestly, I'd love to hear how you process your anger in your own life and what helps you calm down when you feel yourself boiling over. And if you're open, please share your thoughts in the comments. You know what I mean? I put this content, this full podcast on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts. I post clips on TikTok and Instagram and things like that. So please leave comments, send me DMs about things that you might be interested in talking about, things that you want to get off your chest. You know what I mean? A topic you would like to hear about, something you might be dealing with, how you deal with anger, how you process things. Help me out. Maybe you realize something that I haven't. Honestly, I really appreciate it. This is very therapeutic for me. It feels like I'm having a conversation with friends and family. That's why please call me Cousin Marcus. I feel like I'm talking to my family because this is important. This is very important when it comes to the world of mental health. Having someone to talk to, being able to get certain things off of your chest and expressing yourself. So thanks for spending this time with me today. These conversations are not always easy, but they're important. If you found this episode helpful, or if you think somebody might find it helpful, send it to them. Leave a review. Please share with a friend. Subscribe. I'm starting to sound like an influencer, and I am not. This is not what this is. This is just a way for me to express how I'm feeling and help other people do the same. So next time we're talking about the next topic, it'll be, I'm thinking about doing it when it comes to work and how a man's self-worth is tied to his job. Think about how many times people have lost their jobs and they feel like, man, I don't know what to do with myself no more. We've all seen it. If somebody's not working, they feel useless. So I think that's kind of what I want to talk about and how that relates to mental health, a man's job, and how it relates to his self-worth. So yeah, until then, stay safe. I care about you. You know what I mean? And just remember, there's always a way. And please be brave enough